House Resolution number 64, introduced by Representative Anthony and others, a resolution to declare March 24th, 2021 as Pay Equity Day in the state of Michigan.
Chair recognizes Representative Anthony.
Thank you, Madam Speaker and colleagues, for allowing me to speak to House Resolution 64, a resolution declaring March 24th, 2021 as Equal Pay Day in the state of Michigan. And today is Equal Pay Day. And I wish this was a celebratory resolution, one that we could sit back and acknowledge the great strides we've made in closing the pay equity gap. But unfortunately, that is just not the case. As many of you know, this day signifies how far into a new year the average woman must work to be paid what the average white man was paid the previous year. So when I woke up this morning thinking about my remarks to this resolution, I thought about the countless women who have stood in this chamber and introduced this resolution year after year after year. I thought about the fact that they wore red, had buttons and scarves, pins, all of the regalia, talking about closing the pay equity gap. They gave passionate speeches about the contributions of women and how they have continued to make less than their male counterparts. And as I thought about these countless women, I realized that this year was just not the year for an ordinary, run-of-the-mill Pay Equity Day speech. Because over this past year, we saw how this recession, as a result of the coronavirus pandemic, has put more than 2 million women out of work, many of whom were already on a shaky financial ground as compared to their white male counterparts because of the wage gap. Now, mind you, it would be easy for those of us sitting in this chamber to ignore pay equity, because as you know, all of us make the same. Thank goodness we don't have pay equity or inequities in this chamber. But instead of thinking about your own personal financial standing in this space, think about the women that are back home in your districts, the women who are serving as mothers, caring for elderly parents, women who are literally trying to balance it all, the fabric of our communities. These women who we love, who we uplift, continue to bring home less. While this day is symbolic, the wage gap has very real implications for American women and our state's economy. Despite the passage of the Equal Pay Act almost 50 years ago, in 1963, the fight to receive equal pay for equal work remains an ongoing struggle for women. On average, women earn just 82 cents on the dollar compared to men. And women of color have an even steeper climb towards equal pay. Black women earn 63 cents, Asian women 85 cents, Native women 60 cents, and our Latina sisters 55 cents to the dollar. This is embarrassing. And as a governing body in Michigan, we should be ashamed because this is happening on our watch. When women are paid less, when our work is devalued, our families and our communities suffer. This wage gap impacts women for our entire lives. It impacts our ability to buy our first homes. It impacts our ability to pay off student loan debt. And when you're at the last rungs of your life, it makes it so that you have a smaller Social Security check. This is both a moral and an economic issue. So we must acknowledge that workers should be compensated based solely on the merits and quality of their work, and that pay discrimination based on any factor should be condemned. A few stats. In 2017, more than 40% of Michigan mothers were the primary breadwinners for their households, and 25% were co-breadwinners, sharing the responsibilities of supporting their homes. Put it in plain, that means 40% of female-led households are getting shortchanged every single day. The fiscal reality is that the lasting impacts and implications on a family's security and overall wealth, all the while limiting their savings and retirement options. All individuals deserve to be recognized for the full value of their labor and compensated for their contributions to the workforce. So, colleagues, I ask you to join me in passing today's resolution with the expressed intention that this time next year, during the pay equity resolution, some of us may wear red, as many of you all have done today, and we will likely reintroduce this, and we'll stand here and we'll give a passionate speech, but hopefully next year will be a celebratory one that we will be celebrating an economic milestone, a day that we will be commemorating finally closing the gender equity gap in the state of Michigan. Thank you, Madam Speaker.